Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me. Run through the land, you run through my soul. Bring me wisdom and peace. Run through all ages.
Today we have a real treat. We have from Northborough, Mass, author Pravin Trivedi, and he is from India. And he and I have been communicating back and forth for months. Welcome, Pravin.
Thank you.
And Pravin had a major surgery recently, so we've been going back and forth about this, and you survived it. You're feeling good.
Yeah.
You're looking good.
Thank you.
Pravin wrote 2 books, and one is The Wandering Migrant. The other is The Migrant Wanders West. Pravin, which one came first?
The Wandering Migrant.
The Wandering Migrant.
Yeah.
Tell us first, I'm not going to give it away, talk about this book.
Okay.
What was it about?
Quite a few years ago, my family lived in India. I was born there. And my father was a teacher in a small town. And like most teachers, the pay is not very high. And we came on tough times, and my father was at odds, not knowing what to do. He had a lot of tuitions that he taught after school hours. And one of the people that he taught, his father was a businessman who had connections in Africa. So he asked my father whether it would be better if he went to Africa and started an Indian Gujarati school there.
Yeah.
And my father never dreamt of doing something like that. Yeah. But when they discussed the salary and so on, it looked like it would be workable. We had never gone out of India, never out of the state we were in. And this meant 2 weeks worth of going in a boat. Never sure whether you'll get there because the boats were not passenger liners that we see today. They are much more goods when they would go wherever the goods take them to go.
Did you get seasick?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So my father said that he wants to go. And there was a lot of discussion in the family to do something like this, going abroad. But eventually he said, look, I'll go there and we'll clear all our debt within a year, or I won't come back. He made such a strong plea. So he left, and about 6 months later we got news from him that everything was okay and he was going to send for us to go.
Where was he now?
He was in Africa in a country called the Sudan.
The Sudan, okay.
And the capital of the country was Khartoum, and he was in a adjoining town on the confluence of River Nile, White Nile and Blue Nile.
How old were you now at this time, Pravin? At what age were you?
At this, I was about 4 years old at this time.
You were only 4.
Only 4. And we are four sisters and myself. I'm the youngest, and my father wrote that the 2 sisters who were not yet married, and my mother and I, 4 of us, take the trip to Africa. The book literally describes how the discussions went between my parents and how they made out in going to a strange country, not knowing the language or anything. And the journey that we took was very similar to my father's. It was a boat that took about 2.5 weeks to cross the Indian Ocean.
So it took you 2.5 weeks?
Yes.
On a boat?
On a boat.
And you were 4?
Yes.
Oh my God. I don't think I can handle it now.
And we didn't have any cabins or anything. It was not a passenger liner.
So what, you just all were grouped in one big boat? All together?
What happened is the goods were in the bottom deck. Mm-hmm. In the middle deck, they gave us an area, maybe about 20 feet, to put all our luggage there. And then in the middle we sit down and have all our cooking stuff there. We didn't have a kitchen either. So we had a primus stove on which my mother used to make tea and things. And that's how we came through the monsoon season. So our clothes were never dry, really. As the sun came out and then the rains came. So
Did you start writing at that point? How old were you when you started writing?
at that point I was actually not very happy with schooling.
Yeah, who was?
My sisters used to take me to the kindergarten classes, and I would be home before they came back.
You just kind of left, right?
Yeah, and my father had written and said, that, don't worry, when he gets over here, we'll straighten him out.
And did you get straightened out?
It's a matter of opinion.
Which means, look at this one laughing over here, I see. So now, you're growing up in the Sudan.
Yes.
And when did you come to the States? When did you come to America?
Oh, there's a lot more in between as well. After Sudan, I finished high school there, and it was in a Arabic-speaking Muslim country with Italian fathers from Verona running a missionary school, teaching in English a bunch of students from about 25 different countries. So,
And you spoke Hindi,
yes.
but you didn't speak English.
We didn't speak English, and we had to learn Arabic first because everybody in the street spoke Arabic, and when you want to play with kids and so on.
Was it Farsi? Was it Farsi? That's
No,
an
it didn't. Arabic was the main language of the country. Farsi is up north in Persia and around there. But Arabic was bad enough.
Yeah.
And
How long did it take you to learn that?
I was there till I was 15, and went to high school and completed the high school. And after that, there were universities, but they were like madrasas, the university to teach Islamic languages and so on. So my father wanted me to be an engineer because I always broke things and took them apart and sometimes got them back together. So he somehow managed it that I was able to go to England, no other place than London, to study to get an engineering degree.
And you did?
Yeah, that's what we did. So after 15 years of age in Sudan, spent about 10, 12 years in London, and then we came over to America.
And how old were you when you reached our shores? How old were you then?
Oh, when we came over here?
Yeah.
In my 30s.
Okay, still very young.
Yeah.
Still very young. No children yet, weren't married.
I was married when I came here.
Oh, you were married when you got here?
Yeah.
How many children do you have?
2. I have 2 children,
Yeah.
a boy and a girl, so we are $1 million family.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so that's what they call them, as long as you have both, right?
Yeah.
I never heard that before. That's an Indian term, right? Is it an Indian word?
I think so. We definitely use it quite often.
All right, what happened then? You're here, you were in your 30s, now what did you do?
First of all, I went to Battery Park to look at the green lady across the water, bring me your, and that is how I'm going to start my 3rd book. By the way, this is a trilogy. The 3rd book is all set in America.
What's that going to be titled, Brian?
Sorry?
What's that going to be titled? The 3rd one.
Yes.
Can you tell us?
Yes, I can tell you something about the title. The migrant who had showed up first, and going west was something in his mind. So the 2nd book is named The Migrant Goes West.
Yeah.
Wanders west. And the 3rd one is said, The Migrant in the New Land.
Oh, I like that too. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So that's going to start from about what age for you? 30-ish?
This is my 30s.
About
yeah.
your 30s. But you still, now what were you doing for work at this time?
Well, I kept on looking for work, and it was 1971, and there was a lot of engineering contracts were not going through. It was quite hard for engineers to get a job. The defense had cut back and a lot of spending. So I spent a long time looking for work. Now, you can't just survive on nothing. We were living with my sister, and I couldn't do that forever. So we tried getting part-time jobs. My wife got a job as a nurse's aide because she had studied nursing. And I got a job as a children's shoe person in a departmental store on Manhattan,
A shoe salesman.
a shoe salesman.
Did you like it?
Yeah,
Children are
it was only
challenging.
for 2 weeks, but what happened is they found out that I was an engineer. And next thing I know, they made me go to the radio and TV division. That I enjoyed a lot. There was a lot of television sets that people play with, and when they buy, I used to get some commission.
Mhm.
And that was my salary was a whopping $1.75 an hour,
Oh.
and my wife was getting about $2 an hour. On that, we managed to survive with two of us. My father had emigrated with us as well to this country, and my son. So there is a family of four trying to survive on not too much money, but the spirits were strong.
Oh, definitely. So, at what point did you start writing your first book?
Actually, I started writing maybe about 10, 12 years ago.
Well, not that long ago.
Not
Okay.
long ago. My father was a good writer. As a teacher, he wrote a lot of small plays for children to do on the stage in front of their parents and so on. And having lived here for a long time, I was from India. My wife is of Indian origin, but she was born in Africa. One of our children was born in England, and one is born in America. Now, I was wondering what my granddaughter would say 30 years from now, or two generations. What does Trivedi mean? What does my main name mean? Where did I come from? And in this wonderful country where you can totally lose your identity or
Very
not
easily, yeah.
if you don't want to.
Yeah.
You can call it a soup, or in 2 or 3 generations, if you don't remember where you are from, you may not never remember again. So I thought maybe now that I can still remember some stuff, and before any other old age brain stuff gets in, let me write down what I'm writing about where we came from, so my grandkids will know where we came from.
This is a memoir. This trilogy is a memoir.
It's a memoir of me.
All right, now the one out of The Migrant Wanders West, this is Pravin's second book. I had earmarked the first chapter, Westward Ho. I love that, Westward Ho. Yella, 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 imshi. That means move, move, go away, shouted the porter at the ragged kids, dogs, and beggars that surrounded the space where the cars stopped to unload the airline passengers.
Yeah.
So you flew over. You didn't
Yes.
take the boat. You flew over.
At that time, otherwise they would have gone through the Sahara,
Yeah.
literally. The first flight was to Benghazi, so there was about 1,200 miles of Sahara desert.
How long did it take you to write the first book, The Wandering Migrant?
The first book took me about 3 to 4 years to write, but it took another year or two because I didn't know what to do. So I've written a book. Publishing seemed to be quite expensive,
Oh, yeah.
and I really didn't think too many people would be interested in the stories that I wrote. So for about a year or so, it just languished. And then I met representatives of the Worcester Book Club, and they put me on to do-it-yourself.
Self-publishing,
And-
yes. Self-publishing. A lot
Yeah.
of authors are doing it. It's a good way to go. It is. Yeah.
And so I found out about Create Space and sent my book, and then I had to have it edited, but editing is also expensive. I gave it to some good friends who really want to read and let them tell me what I should change.
Right. You know, that's a good thing to do. Give it to somebody who's very well spoken.
Yeah,
Let them take the time to go through it
yeah,
and make corrections if it needs to be.
yes.
And how long did it take you to write the second one, When You're Wandering West?
The second one took me about 15 months.
Well, that was a lot quicker.
Yes.
Yeah. Were you more motivated, quicker, or you just realized more?
And I knew what I could do.
Yeah.
And then the only thing that slows me down is how fast can I type.
Do you do it on your computer?
It's all on the computer.
Oh, you just think of things all on the computer.
Yes. And now I'm doing it even faster because I've hooked up a microphone to my computer, so I talk and it types.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
So you're dictating like a secretary.
Dictating, and as we're looking on the screen at the same time, I can go about twice as fast as I was doing.
Is the computer showing you how it's typing as you talk?
Yes. Or it waits for a while and say, hey, when you're done, I'll type, And so if I have a long sentence, I don't stop because I might break my train of thought.
Yeah.
So I just say it and it thinks for a second and then types. Now you have to be careful, you have to watch it because sometimes the names, like if I say Pravin, it may type wine. So you have to make sure that the ordinary English words, it seems to do quite well.
Yeah, definitely. Now, what language? You speak Hindi, correct?
Hindi, but my real language, mother tongue is Gujarati, which is spoken in the western part of India.
So Tamil is from the southern part.
Tamil is south.
Hindi is that universal, basically?
Hindi is
I tried to learn it.
Yeah.
I tried from the library. They give you, like the Westboro Library has a wonderful section on learning foreign languages. I think I took about 2 days, and I said, I knew French and got that easily. Hindi is really tough, I think.
And Gujarati is sort of like a derivation of Hindi, but it's a language on its own. It has its own grammatical structure and things like that. So.
What town were you? Well, town. There's Mumbai, where a friend of mine is from.
Yes.
Didn't that used to be? What did that? That used to be another name.
Bombay.
Bombay. Now it's Mumbai.
Yeah.
She's from Mumbai.
Well, it really always was Mumbai, and it's a place where Mumbai Devi, the goddess, is supposed to have arisen. But India was under the British for a couple of 100 years, and they could not pronounce all these names like that.
Uh-huh.
So Mumbai became Bombay.
Bombay. Okay, so it was the reverse. I thought they've just recently changed Bombay.
Now they're going back to really what it should be.
Mumbai.
Mumbai.
Okay.
Mumbai.
All right, I've got that.
My friend is from that state.
Yeah.
Who,
What made you end up in Northborough, of all places? How did you end up here?
Actually, most of our life in this country is spent in Massachusetts.
Yeah, smart move.
I got my job through the New York Times, and I got it in Springfield, Massachusetts.
I grew up near there.
Hmm?
I grew up right near there in Wilbraham.
And we lived in Wilbraham for 10 years.
What street were you on?
Mackintosh Drive.
Do you know where Brookside Drive is?
Yeah.
Remember 16 Acres, that little shopping area?
Yes.
Oh my God, you were in Wilbraham? What years were you in Wilbraham? I bet we just missed each other. When were you there?
We came to the country in 71. From 71, this is about 76.
We just missed each other. We'd gone to Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
We left, I believe, in 71. I'd grown up there. And
beautiful.
And then we left.
And there was apple orchards everywhere.
And Friendly Ice Cream.
Friendly, hey, that's Wilbraham, that's us.
That's us. Oh, the home of Friendly Ice Cream.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the children used to go there after school. That was their meeting place. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a small world. And then from there you went to Northborough?
Well, we lived in Springfield for about 7-8 years. Then we lived for about 6 years in Wilbraham.
Yeah.
And then I got a job in Shrewsbury. And that was contrary to going west. It really was more east. But the job really had the market, so I came to Shrewsbury, and we found that Westboro was a nice town.
Yeah.
So we built a house in Westboro, and we lived there 22 years. Now our kids have grown up, they are married, and they are in their own happy homes, and we don't need a big home anymore. Mm-hmm. So we took a decision that let's downsize.
Yeah.
So we did it all within months. We sold the house, got rid of everything inside it, and we are now in a 2-bedroom apartment in Northborough.
Condo or apartment?
Apartment.
A regular apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because we have to try and figure out where do we want to really
yeah, settle.
settle or grow up or whatever you want to call it.
Well, it's never too late to just be a kid, right?
Oh no, I refuse to grow up.
No, we don't need to grow up. So now,
Mumbai is the real name, right?
Mumbai, yeah.
Mumbai.
Yeah, Mumbai.
That's right. Do you know, she's been on our program before, she teaches meditation. Do you need Nita Shah and
Nita Shah.
Hermant? They live in Westboro.
Yeah, they do?
They went to the India Society in Shrewsbury. She used to teach there. She's been on the program before too. And I was sharing with Pravin about Dr. Satra Mitra, who was with us recently.
Yeah.
That was quite a treat.
Wow.
He's a good guy. Have you been on his show? I mean, he loves guests. He just picked one right out from here. Honest to God. He enjoyed her and he said, "Can you be on my show Sunday?" Have you been on with him?
No, but I would like to.
Oh, I would connect with him. Definitely. Tell him you've been on, be my guest. Jan recommends that you hook up with
Dr.
him.
Mitra, right?
Yeah, Dr. Satya Mitra. I will see if I have, I think I still have his connection. I'll email you about
I know him. I'll call him.
Good. Yeah, definitely have Pravin go on. I think it's a wonderful story. So you're working on your next one. Is it almost done?
I just published the second one.
Yeah.
And so, let's see. I decided how big should the book be. And definitely it should be not that big that the book falls from your hands and your eyelids drop. So you want to make sure that it's interesting. And having been in the Sudanese, Indian area for about 15 years, I decided on about 50,000 words should do that.
Well, who is your wonderful illustrator on the covers of these two books?
Oh, the illustrator, that's an exciting thing. I was looking for old maps.
Yeah.
And I found them on Wikipedia. So I asked that permission if I could use them.
Yeah.
And they were in public domain, they said. So I took that, and about 3 years ago I'd gone to India in university, and I was talking to their publication department. Well, the head of the publication department and I looked at this and decided that he will do the thing for me. So it was at night I would send him the request. Next morning he would have done it and sent it by email. So we did this by email back and forth.
So will your next cover show your move into America?
Yes.
Like, it'll be. He has. It's like a. Like if you're showing somebody how to get somewhere, we start in India and it goes all the way into the Sudan and then it goes up and then the next thing will be America.
Yeah.
What did you feel when you arrived here in this country? Like, oh my God, what have I done? Or were you happy?
We had a lot of advice. I was told by my friends in London, don't go to Chicago, they do bootlegging there.
Okay.
Don't go to Texas because they're gunslingers there. California, don't even think about it because it's all foreign anyway. So my English friends were they were upset that we were moving away. But we came over and made it a home.
And so you arrived in Boston.
We arrived in
Kennedy. At Kennedy, okay, New York.
My sister lived in... our first stay was with my sister who had a 2-bedroom apartment with her 2 children. And we, 4 of us, in a small apartment in New York City. So we landed in New York and then it was daily look in the papers and see where there are jobs.
Oh yeah. And you found one.
I found one after about 6 months.
It takes a while.
And we found a job in Springfield. We didn't have a car. I didn't know how to drive a car. Didn't have any credit cards. And one of the things we did when we looked for an apartment is to make sure that there is a bus nearby.
From where you were in New York?
From Springfield to my work to work.
From New York to Springfield?
Oh, the work was in Springfield.
Did you commute to from back and forth, or did you move? You moved. That's when
we
you moved.
To
yeah, that'd be a heck of a commute.
That's yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do that.
No.
No.
And we we settled in Springfield for a few years. The wonderful thing was that when we tried to go in the apartment for the first time, all our stuff had arrived, and we paid off the people who brought the luggage. At that point, my wife and I, sum total in our pocket were $15. That's how to start life.
That's tricky, tricky, tricky. What, did you have the children yet?
Yeah.
The children, you had the children by now, and you only had $15.
One child
Uh,
and one father.
I hope you got paid that first week that you started.
Actually, it was, I have to tell you this. My wife traveled from New York City to Springfield in a Greyhound bus, and she had packed up everything that the truck drivers were going to take, our beds and things like that. But the truck driver wanted $200 cash.
What?
Yes.
You mean the truck driver,
Yeah,
not Greyhound. I don't. Greyhound doesn't charge.
No, so she was in the bus and she came over, and she had phoned me before she left New York that, hey, where are we going to get $300 from?
Yeah.
And we didn't have any. It was a Friday and going home time, and I went and talked to my boss, and he said, all right, hang in there, let's see what we can do.
Oh.
About 20 minutes later, he came with a handful of dollar bills and things. The general manager, the engineering manager, the finance manager, the petty cash lady, they had all emptied whatever resources they had, and they came up with $300.
I bet you were over the moon with happiness. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's generosity right there. That's beautiful.
And that's why in the book also I'm going to write a lot of things that I found that made me feel that I've made the right decision
Yeah.
in coming to this country.
Listen, we have Pravin Trivedi with us, and this has been such a pleasure. Pravin, your operation was in June. Mine
Yeah.
was back November, but it was your hip, right?
No, it's a spinal.
It's your back.
Yeah, whole back.
Boy, you were in rehab for quite a while, right?
Yes.
That must have been really rough. Your back. I have a friend who just had that surgery, and
they give you a lot of anesthetic.
yeah.
And for the second night I was in the hospital, I went nuts.
That I would like to see. I can't picture it.
Lights were on. I was tearing off all the clothes and bedclothes, and I somehow kept dreaming that I have to get out of here. They're gonna come and get me. And so nobody came by, and so I was almost out of the bed, and somebody heard, and they rushed in and told me it's okay, and I knew they were not okay. I knew they were gonna
get you, right?
Yeah, they're gonna get me. And the same thing happened next night. Then the effect wore off.
Yeah,
but
it could have been the anesthesia. You've never had anesthesia, right?
Not much, really.
Oh, okay. So your body reacted that. Some people do. They do. They go cuckoo.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wake up and hey, but some people don't.
And that thing about feeling good, hey, it only lasts a second or so, and then you are in Never Land. You have no idea.
Oh yeah, you're out. You're
out.
That's the good part. You were in Boston, right?
Yeah.
You were in Boston.
At Bethesda Deaconess, yeah.
My grandmother was back when it was just Deaconess, and it's next to the Joslin Clinic, the diabetes.
Oh yeah.
My grandmother was part of that too. Pravin, I can't tell you how happy I am to finally meet you and have you here. Now, your next book. Of course, it's Migrant Wanders West was the second one. The Wandering Migrant is the first. All true stories based on your life. The next one's coming up. You're going to let me know, right?
Yes, I will, definitely.
Yes.
The first book is about 50,000 words.
Yeah.
Second was about 55.
We're not counting. We don't count here. It's just, if it's good, we read it.
The third one I'm going to be shooting for 70,000 words.
It feels like a good size to me. I mean, I wasn't overwhelmed in any part of it. Thanks so much for coming on.
There's so much to talk about in the life in the U.S. that...
We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time. Glenn, hang on a second. just a second. Before we go,
Yeah.
Pravin, how can people reach you about obtaining your books?
The book is available at Amazon.com, and you go in the book section and type my name, Pravin M. Trivedi.
Okay, Pravin Trivedi, Trivedi,
And my two books should come up. You see a lot of other books because there are Trivedis around, but they are not the ones that they are more like mathematics books and so on.
Oh, he
Not
signed mine. I got really lucky. He signed mine. I couldn't wait. I read these within the first 2 weeks. So you sent them. So.
Oh.
Yeah. I love reading. Anyway, I love India. My friends from India. So thank you again for being on our show. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Run, river, run. Run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me. Run through the land, you run through my soul.